He said he couldn't make our anniversary dinner because he was sick. He forgot I could see his location. I delivered soup to the hotel lobby. The desk clerk asked, "Should I send this up to room 509? We'd been married 5 years. Together for 7. I thought we were solid. We lived in Dayton, Ohio, not a big city, but not small enough where everyone knows your business. I liked it that way. I worked long shifts as a nurse at Miami Valley Hospital. Derek, my husband, worked IT for a logistics company. Mostly remote, but sometimes he traveled for meetings. He said those trips were boring. Long drives, conference rooms, bad coffee. I believed him. I didn't have a reason not to. I made good money, worked my ass off, and still came home to cook most nights. We split chores. We watched shows together. We were planning a vacation to the Carolinas. I thought we were okay. Our 5th wedding anniversary was coming up. April 10th. I made a reservation at Franco's Ristorante downtown. It's where we had our first real date. I booked it 3 weeks early. I checked in with him a few times to make sure he was in town. "Yeah, baby," he said. I cleared that night. "It's all yours." So I got a new dress. Green. Soft fabric, low neckline. He used to say green made my eyes pop. I took a long shower after work, shaved everything, did my makeup, curled my hair. Wore the perfume he gave me 2 years ago. He called it Rain and Sunshine in a bottle. At 3:37 p.m., I got his text. "Hey babe. Feeling really rough. Think I caught that flu that's going around. Can we skip dinner tonight? I just need to sleep this off." No emoji. No punctuation. Just flat. I stared at it. You ever get that gut punch? That thing where something just feels wrong? That's what this was. But I didn't panic. Not yet. I replied, "Oh no, I'm sorry. Want me to bring you some soup? I'll drop it off on the porch." He replied, "That's sweet, but I think I just need to sleep. Don't want to get you sick." That was the first clue. Derek never turned down soup. He called it liquid gold. He once had me bring it to his job when he had a cold because he swore I made it better than the store stuff. I sat on the edge of the bed for 10 minutes, just thinking. Something felt off. Then I opened Life 360. We both had it. He insisted on it after my car broke down one winter. Said it made him feel safer knowing where I was. I agreed. We used it for years. He forgot I could still see him on it. The little that was supposed to be him at home wasn't. It was at the Marriott downtown, right near his office. It had been there for over an hour. I clicked the details. It said he'd been stationary there for 87 minutes. I stared at the screen. Thought maybe he went there to meet someone for work? But it's our anniversary. He said he was sick. Why would he go to a hotel? I didn't call him. I didn't ask questions. I went to the kitchen, poured some of the chicken noodle soup I made yesterday into a thermos, put the lid on tight. I threw a hoodie over my dress and left. The drive took 11 minutes. I parked in front of the Marriott. I walked in like I knew exactly what I was doing. The front desk clerk gave me a smile. "Hi, can I help you?" "Hi," I said, holding up the thermos. "I'm dropping off soup for my husband, Derek Harper. He's not feeling great." "Oh," she said, still typing something on her computer. "Should I send this up to room 509? I froze. Just for a second. 509? I asked. She nodded. "Yeah, that's what we have for Mr. Harper." My stomach dropped. "No," I said quickly. "I'll take it up." "Elevators are just around the corner," she said. I walked slow. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The elevator took forever. The 5th floor was quiet, carpeted, clean. I followed the signs. 509 was at the end of the hallway. The door was cracked open. I could hear voices. A woman laughed. I stopped in front of the door. Another laugh. Then Derek's voice, low and warm. The one he used with me when we were alone. The one I hadn't heard in weeks. I didn't knock. I didn't scream. I pushed the door open. She was on the bed. blonde, young, her legs bare. His shirt was off. She was wearing the robe I bought him for Christmas. He turned, his face drained. "Jessica," he said, like I was a stranger who'd wandered in by mistake. I walked inside. My legs felt frozen. I set the thermos on the nightstand. "I brought you soup," I said. The girl scrambled off the bed. She looked at me, confused. "I'm sorry, what's happening?" I ignored her. I looked at Derek. "You said you were sick. You said you loved me. You lied." He didn't say anything, just stood there with his mouth open. I turned to the girl. "You might want to get dressed." Then I walked out. But that wasn't the end. That was just the first move. I didn't go home right away. I drove around for a while. Just aimless turns through neighborhoods I didn't recognize. The hoodie was still on over my dress, and I could still smell the soup on my hands. I wasn't crying. Not yet. I didn't call anyone. Not my sister. Not my best friend. Not even my mom. I didn't want to hear the gasps or the questions. I needed quiet. I needed to think. I finally pulled into a Walmart parking lot and sat there. I watched people walk in and out of the store. Families, couples, old folks, teenagers. All of them living their lives like nothing had just exploded in mine. I opened my phone and looked at Derek's location again, still at the Marriott. I stared at his name on the screen for a long time. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I opened his email. I had access. We shared the main household email for bills and booking flights. He never changed the password. I typed in Marriott in the search bar. And there it was. Reservation confirmation. 2 nights. Under her name. Amy D. I recognized the last name from his office Christmas party last year. She worked in accounting. I kept digging. There were other emails too. One from February. One from early March. Both hotels. Different cities. One in Columbus. One in Indianapolis. He hadn't just slipped up tonight. This had been going on for months. When I finally drove home, I was calm. Too calm. That kind of calm that comes when your brain detaches just a little, like you're watching yourself from the outside. He came home the next morning. Quiet. Like a kid who got caught sneaking out. I was at the kitchen table. Still wearing my dress. Still wearing the perfume. I wanted him to see what he gave up. What he lied to. He walked in with his tail between his legs. "Jess," I held up my hand. "Don't. I know everything. You didn't just cheat. You planned this." He sat down across from me. I didn't even flinch. "It wasn't serious," he said. "I messed up. I was stupid. I don't know why I did it." I tilted my head. "You booked 2 nights. In her name." He went quiet. "I want a divorce," I said. He jumped up. "Wait, no, can we talk about this? We've been through so much. This is a mistake." I stood up too. "No, Derek. You made the mistake. I'm just cleaning it up." That was the last time we spoke face to face. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. I called my lawyer the next day. Friendly guy. Recommended by one of the ER doctors. We filed within the week. Ohio's a no-fault divorce state, but the property split? That's where it got messy. We'd bought our house together 3 years ago. My name was first on the mortgage. I'd put more money down. A lot more. And then I remembered something important, something Derek forgot. He'd taken out a personal loan last year. $15,000. Said it was for house repairs. I co-signed because I trusted him. But the repairs never happened. So I pulled the bank statements. Tracked every cent. It was all spent on travel. Hotels. Fancy dinners. Even a stupid hot air balloon ride in Asheville. All of it, with her. I printed it all. Every transaction. I handed it to my lawyer. "This isn't just cheating," I said. He used my credit. My name. For this. The lawyer smiled. "We can work with this." And we did. It took months. But we built a case. In the meantime, I played nice. I let him think I was cooling off. I told him maybe there was a chance to work things out. I let him move back in temporarily while the paperwork processed. He brought his clothes, his electronics, his expensive tech gadgets. I let him get comfortable. And then one day, when he left for a work meeting, I had the locks changed, boxed up all his things, and dropped them off at his buddy's place. I left the divorce papers on top of the box. Attached was a copy of every receipt, every hotel bill, and the loan agreement, with a note. You lied to me. You used me. Now you get to pay for it. And still, I wasn't done. A few days after I had his things packed and delivered, I got a call from Derek's sister, Rachel. She and I had always been close. Not the kind of close where we shared secrets, but she liked me. She respected how I handled things. Or so I thought. She didn't waste time. Jess, I heard what you did. Derek's a wreck. I didn't say anything, just waited. I'm not saying he didn't mess up, she went on. But you're going scorched earth. Was that really necessary? I let out a short laugh. He lied to me for months. Used my name for debt. Slept around on our anniversary. And I'm the one going too far, she sighed. I'm just saying, be careful. He's talking like he wants to get back at you. Said you're making him look bad. That stopped me. Get back at me how? I don't know. He's angry. He said something about the house, about how he helped build it up too, and he deserves half. My blood turned cold. Rachel wasn't warning me for his sake. She was warning me because she knew something. I thanked her and hung up. The next morning, I went straight to my lawyer. We went through the paperwork again. Turns out, Derek had quietly filed his own motion with the court, claiming I was mentally unstable, that I'd acted out of emotion, and that I couldn't handle conflict. He had even tried to request temporary ownership of the house during the divorce. He also made a claim that I had been abusive. Nothing physical. Just that I emotionally manipulated him and constantly threatened to ruin his career. He even listed Soup Incident as an example of harassment. I stared at the pages. I thought it was a joke, but he was serious. And I knew exactly where this was going. He wasn't just trying to save face, he was trying to flip the story. Make me the villain. Play the victim. He thought if he got ahead of it, he could spin the narrative. But what he didn't realize was that I had one last move. One that would not only kill his lies, but expose everything. Remember the loan? The $15,000 he used for his affair trips? I requested a credit report, mine and his. I needed to know if there were other surprises. And there was. He had taken out another card. In my name. Without my consent. It was maxed out. Close to $9,000. All the charges were from the past 4 months. That was fraud. Plain and simple. I called the police. They opened a case. Took statements. I gave them every document I had. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just handed over the facts. Meanwhile, I called his HR department, anonymously. I gave them a heads up that one of their employees might be involved in a pending fraud case. Then I waited. Derek still thought he had the upper hand. He showed up at the courthouse smug. Like he was winning. Then the police showed up at his work. Then the HR callback happened. Then the fraud report hit his credit. And still, it wasn't over. Because I had one more card left to play. The day Derek got arrested, it didn't feel like a victory. Not yet. I was sitting at the kitchen table again, the same place I'd been when I found out about room 509. My hands were still. My coffee was cold. The call came from the detective working the case. We brought him in for questioning, he said. He admitted to opening the card under your name. Said it was a mistake. Said he thought you'd understand. I let out a quiet laugh. Did he say anything about the hotel bills? He didn't have to. The paper trail covers it. That night, I stood in the hallway outside what used to be our bedroom. I stared at the closed door. Everything we had, everything I thought we built, it had all been paper thin. I made mistakes too. I trusted someone who didn't deserve it. I didn't ask enough questions. I kept making excuses for him every time he was too tired or too busy. I ignored the quiet moments where I felt alone in my own marriage. That was on me. But what came next was on him. He lost his job. HR called it a violation of financial ethics. His employer wanted no part of the legal mess. They let him go without warning. When the fraud charges stuck, his credit dropped like a stone. He tried to say it was all just a misunderstanding, but nobody bought it. His lawyer tried to fight for part of the house. Claimed emotional distress. Claimed he helped renovate and should get half. We showed the court the receipts. Every dollar. Every lie. Every message. The judge ruled in my favor. Full ownership. He got nothing. I even got the credit cards reversed. The banks didn't make it easy, but I pushed until they accepted the fraud reports. I sent certified letters. I made calls on my lunch breaks. I kept going. The last time I saw Derek was in court. He looked tired. His beard was uneven, like he stopped caring. He avoided my eyes. But I looked him dead in the face. You could have just left, I said. You could have said you were unhappy. I would have walked away clean. But you had to lie. You had to burn everything down. He didn't reply. After it all ended, I donated the green dress. The one I wore that night. I didn't want it anymore. But I kept the perfume. Not as a reminder of him, but as a reminder of me. Of who I was before I let someone like him turn love into poison. Of who I became when I finally said enough. Some people think revenge is loud. That it's shouting or breaking things. But sometimes it's quiet. It's soup on a nightstand. It's a knock at the hotel door. It's paperwork. And patience. And letting someone destroy themselves, one bad choice at a time. I didn't need to scream. He did all the damage for me. And in the end, I just made sure everyone saw it. People love to ask what healing looks like. They think it's sunshine and deep breaths. Bubble baths and weekend trips with girlfriends. Some version of the rom-com glow-up where I cut my hair and say, I'm finally free. That's not what it was for me. For me, healing looked like closing our joint account and opening a new one in my name only. It looked like shredding every piece of paper with his handwriting on it. It looked like sitting on the floor of an empty closet with a bottle of wine and crying until my ribs hurt. It looked like calling a locksmith, a contractor, and a painter all in the same week. Because the house didn't feel like mine until I made it new. I kept working. 12-hour shifts. Double weekends. Anything to stay moving. Rachel, Derek's sister, reached out again after the final court date. She texted, I'm sorry for how I talked to you. You were right. He's not who I thought he was. I didn't reply. Not because I was angry, but because I was done. 2 months after everything ended, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. I knew the handwriting. Inside was a note. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want you to know I never stopped loving you. I just didn't know how to be what you needed. I almost laughed. He wanted pity. Even now. I didn't respond. Instead, I sent the letter straight to the trash, along with the last memory I had of him. 6 months later, I finally booked that trip to the Carolinas. I went alone. Ate fried oysters by the ocean. Watched the sun set without wondering who was lying to me. And I realized something sitting on that beach. He didn't just cheat on me. He underestimated me. He thought I'd fall apart. That I'd beg. That I'd break down and maybe even blame myself. But I didn't. Because when someone shows you who they really are, you don't argue. You just show them who you are, too. And I did. All the way to the end. A year passed. I didn't even notice the anniversary of it all until I was folding laundry and came across an old hoodie that still smelled faintly of that perfume, his favorite one. The bottle sat untouched on my dresser, mostly full, gathering dust. I thought about throwing it out. Instead, I sprayed it into the air, just once, and let the scent hang there. Not for him. For me. A small reminder of what I survived. People in town started talking less. The whispers faded. The pity in their eyes stopped showing up in the grocery store. And when someone did mention his name, I just shrugged. Yeah, that was a rough time, I'd say. And then I'd move on. But healing, real healing, it doesn't just mean silence and peace. Sometimes it brings you something unexpected. Something sharp. One day, I ran into Amy, the girl from the hotel room. She was in line at the pharmacy, same town, less makeup, looking like someone who hadn't slept well in months. She saw me before I saw her. Tried to duck behind the shelf, but I walked right up. Hey, I said, calm. She looked like a deer in headlights. I'm not here to fight, I added. I just want to ask you something. She stayed quiet. Did he ever tell you we were still married when he took you to that hotel? She blinked. He said you were separated, that you were cold, controlling. I nodded slowly. And did he also tell you that the credit card he used? The one for the dinners, the hotel, the wine? That was in my name. Her face fell. I didn't know, she whispered. I figured, I said. You were just the next lie. She looked like she wanted to cry. He's in Missouri now, she said. Living with his mom. Can't get a job because his record's not clean anymore. He tried to call me 2 months ago. I blocked him. I stared at her. He used us both, I said. She nodded. And then I walked away. No scene. No screaming. No revenge this time. Because I already got mine. And watching the pieces of his life still scatter a year later, that's just the echo. And that echo? That's forever.